everybody, and welcome along to the 6th round of FHK League Season 2, round number 6, and we head to Zandvoort today for the Dutch Grand Prix. My name is Jess Ball, and Paul is on holiday this week, so he can't make it. The super sub Luke can't make it because he's up not very well, so get better soon. So I am joined by someone who usually races in Tier 1, and he's also one of the co-owners of this league. It is Kieran. How you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Great to be here. It's a shame we can't have the usual Paul and Luke around because they've always done a fantastic job with this. But pleasure to step in for today and watch along with this race and help talk you through it. So yeah, always a great track, this one. So even probably the racing's so good because it is narrow, so you've really got to make the overtakes work for you. So yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, it should be good as well. And last week we were at Hungary, which was quite an interesting track, and we saw KG Boy take his first win of the season, and he took the lead of the championship by 2 points over F1 Nerd, who got 11 points in that race as well. And Hannah got her first podium as well. So a race of first in the Hungarian Grand Prix, and it was raining as well, which the drivers, I think, didn't like. But it provided us with an interesting spectacle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there is a bit of a close battle being forged at the top of the table, and a couple of the female drivers there, Hannah and Hun as well, also in the mix as well. It must be said, and you know, this track does throw up surprises, so it's probably going to throw up even more twists and turns in the championship as we go into the second half.
Yeah, and as you were saying at the start of the season, it's not really about the Drivers' Championship, it's about the Teams' Championship as well. So the Teams' Championship is going to be our main focus, and it is Aston Martin, with obviously rough scoring at the first half of the season, who are still leading the championship by 2 points over Mercedes. And obviously with KG Boy taking that win, that's really going to help Mercedes try and close up to Aston Martin. But we've got Notorious Fellow in there. I think we've got Yashin as well, who will try and score points for them as well. And of course, we've got Alpine, who scored very well as well. But they're teams like Red Bull and AlphaTauri that really need to step it up. I kind of feel bad for VK Extra, who's the star AlphaTauri at the moment. But we hopefully will get some reserves in the future to score some points for that team. And but quite close up between the top two, at least. I wonder who's going to score the most points in the Constructors' Championship this week.
Oh, it's a good question, isn't it? I mean, we've got KG and F1 Nerd obviously on good form at the moment, so that could be potentially good points on the cards for McLaren. KG could be the key driver in that battle for Mercedes, along with Aston Martin, but it is very, very close in the Teams' Championship, it must be said. And with the amount of points on offer for the teams, compared to just individual drivers, there's a lot of potential for big shifts in the order.
Yeah, and it is another technical track, this one, Zandvoort, where track is very hard to overtake as well. It's one of the tracks that got introduced in the game in 2020 as well, so not as much practice as the other tracks. And it's one of the tracks where some people like it, some people hate it, but it's also one of those tracks where qualifying is key. And for the first time in a week, we are going to revert back to short qualifying. No, not full qualifying this week. We've got 16 drivers. Oh, we have 15 at the moment. I don't know what's happened to one of the drivers, but at the moment we've got full qualifying, and we got some new faces as well. We got another female driver as well, and that's great, isn't it, Kieran, to promote inclusivity in the league. We got Sam, who's going to be in the Ferrari this week, so I hope we get more females in the future. But tonight we have four females in Tier 2, and I believe we have one racing in Tier 1 tonight, so it's good to see.
Yeah, it really is. This is all the ambition we were going for, obviously, and you know, the more presence, more inclusivity runs right through the league as opposed to just the drivers. But it's awesome to see that presence of more female drivers in amongst the field, which is everything we were after. So let's hope for a good performance from those guys and from, well, frankly, everybody, because talk about inclusivity, we want everyone to have a great race. But it's fantastic to see those kind of numbers in through the field at the moment. So yeah, looking forward to this for sure.
Yes, and just a little bit of information about the track as well. First used in Formula 1, I think, back last year, back in 2021. We'll have a look at the track. It had 14 turns, 4.259 kilometers, and it has 2 DRS zones for overtaking as well. But the main overtaking spot has got to be turn 1 as well, where it's quite windy as well, and there's a banking towards the start-finish straight, which people find quite tricky as well. And drivers will need to be aware of tyre pressures today as well, because if they have it on too high, they're going to be sending it into a bit of a spin. And I think we are about to get going for full qualifying, so only 15 drivers. I think we were having 16, but I think one couldn't make it. But here we go, we're about to get started. Will we have some rain? Will we have some dry? We'll have to wait and see who will come out on top. We'll have to find out. What do you think about this track?
I think it's very, very challenging indeed. Because it's so narrow, it reminds me of Cadwell Park. It's one of those where there is absolutely no room for error. So at some of these corners, they are quite high speed, and it's very easy. Just put a wheel on the grass or the gravel and you're done, you're gone. There's no recovery here. So there's very little in the way of margin for those errors. But when you do hook up a lap, it is spectacular. But as I say, with it being narrow, it does reduce the opportunity for overtaking. So that puts a lot of emphasis on qualifying, which is probably why it's such a good idea that we've now been able to do full qualifying today with the numbers, because we can give those drivers all the opportunity they can to put in the best lap they can, because it is that kind of circuit where it's unforgiving in the race if you don't get your qualifying right.
Yeah, and definitely there was an update as well at the start of the week where the update introduced new flexibility in terms of tyre selection as well, so they don't have to go for the softer option anymore, where they've got 4 sets of softs for qualifying and less mediums in the race. They've got, if they choose a balance option, they've got 2 mediums in the race and 3 softs as well, which makes things a little bit more exciting. If there's safety cars, they can go onto a set of mediums instead of going onto a set of hards if they want to as well, which I think is pretty cool as well. But if they do go for the balance option, which means they've got lesser option for softs in qualifying as well. So we may see people go on mediums for their reconnaissance laps, as it were, but at the moment, we will see what option they have got. I think that's probably why they're taking a while to sort out their setups at the moment as well. So, yes, we got a few drivers going out of their pit box at the moment. We got one Aston Martin who's about to get underway. I think it's the tallest fella, there we go, who's going out of the pit lane. We got someone who's on the mediums for the first time in FHK in qualifying, BK Extra, and we got the infamous someone on the inters, just to get a feel for the track as well. Do you like this flexibility with the tyre selection now? You don't have to do go on hards if you don't want to, if there's like a late safety car.
Yeah, I think so, because ultimately it is a little bit more realistic that way, and frankly, you don't want to be boxed into a corner strategically, because it's that kind of circuit. It does throw up surprises, and if you can change up your strategy, it's always the best option. So having that choice is absolutely critical to nailing a race strategy. So again, you got to be careful with how you're using your tyres in qualifying as well, for similar reasons. You don't want to use all your good tyres too early on. So if you've got other tyres available which you can burn up just to give it a try, then by all means, but obviously you do put yourself at risk. For example, those on the inters, because they don't last very long on a dry circuit. So yeah, just got to be sparing with tyres where it's possible to do so. So yeah, definitely good that that choice is now back.
Yeah, I think that it was on the game a few years ago as well, and I think last year you had the option to have 2 set mediums as well, so I'm glad that that's back with the flexibility as well. But let's go on board with Notorious Fellow, as he was the first man to start a lap time, as he's on the soft tyres. I thought he would go on the mediums or the inters, but he is not. So you're going to hit that late apex quite nicely as well as you head towards turn 2 and 3. Another banking coming up as well. You aim as much to the left as you can, but some people could go to the outside. That promotes a better line as well. A lot of people will be taking different lines through here as well. Be wary of the curves as well. We see with a few drivers with practice that if you touch that right hand curve or even that left hand curve on the entry to turn 7 and 8, you could end up into a spin, which could be quite tricky as well, as we head onto this apex here into the almost the start of sector 3. We're about to approach the DRS zone, which could be used for overtaking as well. It's quite hard to overtake as well with the DRS trains. I think that could be a massive factor here today as we head towards final sector. Now 51.2 for Notorious Fella. He may not be pushing too much, but again, he's just having a feel for the track. I think the next person to finish a lap will be one of the Haas drivers, which will be OG Livy. I think he's the only Haas driver here today, but Notorious Fella then, final straight he goes. What lap time is he going to set to start the qualifying session up? Is a 1:13.6. What can OG Livy do in the Haas then, as he gets his DRS wide open as well? Can he go into the 1:12 potentially? Not quite, but he's in the 1:13.4, which is a decent lap time for him so far. What about VKX? He's on medium, so he's not going on inters. He's not going on mediums, he's going on inters, but he's just going into the pit so he doesn't waste his tyres. And then we've got, I think, an Alpine and a McLaren going on track as well. What pole time would you think that the drivers are going to face today? Do you think people can get into the 1:11s maybe, or is that reserved for Tier 1, do you think, tonight?
I think looking at the drivers and looking at past performances from the Tier 2 drivers, I think they should be pushing for sort of a mid-12 or a sort of low 12 in Q3, I suspect, as the track continues to ramp up through the session. As they've already put in 13.4s, so I think a mid-12 would be a good lap in this tier. But obviously that's dependent on changes in weather or anything like that, which I think, is this going to stay completely dry? I believe so. So, I mean, that's what I would expect personally, sort of the mid-12, maybe in the low 12s if someone can really hook up a lap, which you never know, they may well do. And obviously we've got a whole session, a whole qualifying to get through, and it does give the drivers a bit of time to get their eye in over the whole lap. So there's a lot of time to find. There may be someone who does.
Yeah, potentially as well. This is a track which I do really well in qualifying and have a lot of fun in the race as well. But it gets very annoying when you go into DRS trains and you can't overtake. But Snake, who had a quali ban last week, he's allowed to set a lap this week. And you said it will be a mid-112s to be doing well in this tier. Well, he's already in the mid-112s already with a 112.3. That's kind of similar to what I would do as well. And that's early in Q1. So I think we could see 111s from Snake. But we will see if anyone else could do a hook a lap like that. We haven't got Steven here today, so I was expecting Steven to be up there, but he's not up there. He can't make it today as well. Is anyone else who's about to start on the run? Ella, unfortunately, has invalidated. Hannah has set a lap on the inters, which is good, to be fair, on the intermediate tyres, but she's going to go into the pit lane. Weller's about to start his lap. Well, he was, but he's retired on circuit, and he hit the wall as well. So that is his qualifying done and dusted. If you retire and crash your car, there's no way your team can repair it in time for Q2. So yeah, he is out, and so easy to do, but very unfortunate, which means we will only have 14 or 13 drivers remaining for Q2. And since we only have 13 drivers left, everyone will make it through into Q2 regardless. So maybe they just want to get some laps on the board to start with and not push too much, because if they do bin it, you're going to be like Weller and be out of the session.
Yeah, that's the problem for those guys. Well, Alex as well, in fact, who retired at the same place. It's the same issue, I suspect. They're coming through that right-hander and lost the back end and went into the wall before they could rotate to the left. So really unfortunate for those guys, because, as I say, they're not going to participate in Tier 2 now. Q2, excuse me, Q2.
This is Tier 2.
It is Tier 2 in Q2. So they won't be able to compete any further, unfortunately, for them. But saw Notorious Fella putting in a 13.0 as well. Very good lap from him. Must be said. There's still about over 7 tenths to Snake there, so there's a big gap. But there is still time for a lot of those quick drivers, for example, KG Boy, F1 Nerd, who, there's a lot of drivers there who haven't set a lap yet, so they may well be waiting for the end of the session as the track gets at its best to set a representative lap to see what the pecking order is initially. But as pointed out, everyone here will be going through. Only those two who have crashed will not be participating any further.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame, but at least they have some tyres to save for the race as well. They've got more soft to use if there's a safety car with so little drivers here today. But a much better turnout, I have to be said. I think every single driver in this field today are Tier 2 drivers. We had to rope in some Tier 1 drivers last week in Tier 2, so it's great to see a much better turnout from pretty much everyone involved as well. As Kenzie, I believe, will be going into the pits, but I will double check in just a second. But I wonder if some people will be just doing an outlap going into the pit, retiring, and then straightening up for Q2, just so they don't waste all those soft tyres. And I think Kenzie just going into the pits at the moment. As you were talking about F1 there, one of our fastest drivers in this tier, has been very consistent in terms of his pace at the moment. Almost got the win in Monza, but he got taken off him due to his safety car infringement. Good news, though, I believe he did do a safety car restart in Hungary, and he performed that a lot better, and I think he got used to it now as well. So maybe it was because he didn't do a safety car restart and he wasn't that confident, but he was a bit more confident here as well. So we'll see how he does on his first soft run of the session. He's left it till late to get a lap on the board. He doesn't need to, but as long as there's a lap valid and he doesn't crash, he should make it into the next part of the session. So F1 Nerd goes up to the line. What's it going to be? A 1:13.1, just behind Notorious Fella, but still in the top 3 for now. The only other person on a lap is our newest driver and our newest female driver, Sam, currently in P13 at the moment, filling in for Stephen. I don't know what her pace is in that Ferrari or in any leagues at the moment, so it's a complete new start for her, and she's one of Hannah's friends. They're in a party together, which is great to see. So we'll see what she can do in her first outing in FHK.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see some new faces, particularly more female drivers racing in FHK, and I'm very intrigued to see what the pace is going to look like at this point. As I say, all these drivers just looking for bragging rights at this point, given they're all through. So I'm very curious as to what they can pull out at this stage, what the mentality will be in terms of preparing for the laps. You want to play it safe and get through and really get it right in the representative sessions of Q2 and 3, or push it now and see what you can get out of the car and set down that early marker to everybody else.
Yeah, I think some people may not want to set an early marker. They may want to sandbag a little bit. I know some of the faster drivers may want to do that, but there's certain drivers that may want to put the pressure early on and say, if anything you can do, I could do better. But Sam is set a purple set to 1. Is that a lie, or is that an actual real purple set? Oh, she invalidated on that curb. Oh, that's annoying. But she's going to go into the pits, I would expect, and set another one. But yeah, that was unfortunate. I will double check if it was purple set to 1. If it was, fair play to her, because I think I've got a purple set to 1 before in qualifying, but never purple anything else as well. But that's a shame for her to invalidate. What about Yash though, as he starts his first lap on the soft tyres? We've got KG Boy on a lap as well. Last week's race winner, as Yash is now purple in set 1. I think that's almost certain to be true, as Kenzie has retired. I think it's in the pits. I'm almost set. Yeah, it's in the pits. Okay, all good. There was a yellow flag, so I was a bit worried that he binned it somewhere, but no, he's just saving some soft tyres for Q2. So he'll be playing it a bit easier for the final half of this session. But Yash is going to choose to continue then as well, as I think Sam was just about to finish her lap, so I think she's going again, but she lost it a little bit in turn 2. But Yash then going towards the banking. He's got a bit of brilliant straight line speed heading towards the final corner. Not much ERS though, and that puts him P5, just ahead of Hun in P6 there, and just behind VK Extra in P4. KG Boy then in 12th. He's, I think, one of the only other fast boys to not set a lap yet. And obviously Hannah, who's yet to set a representative lap time either. Hannah was very impressed with her pace last week. She probably wasn't expecting to be in the top 3, but she got in the top 3 last week in the race. And I wonder what she could do this week with obviously Stephen not here and her having a chance for her to show her as being the number 1 driver. But KG Boy's about to finish off a lap, and his purple sets 2 in the middle sector.
Yeah, he's really hooked up this lap so far. Is looking promising as well, obviously setting the pace early on. I think Hannah will be encouraged by Sam's first sector, albeit not finishing the lap. But you know, certainly if that's certainly a fastest sector 1, we'll take a lot of promise from that as KG Boy approaches the line and sets a 1:12.2, and we've got a new fastest lap for Q1, a new provisional pole technically, but going just under a 10th quicker than Snakey. We have a new leader at the moment.
Yes, we do. I was expecting him to be in the 1:12, to be honest. He hooked his lap really well. It was almost perfect, to be honest, as well. But there were certain times where he could have found a bit more pace. But that is what this full qualifying session is for. Sam has got a lap time on the board, so I'm guessing that's what she wanted to do. So I wonder if she's just going to retire and wait until the start of Q2 anyway. But we got KG Boy, who's topping the session, Snake in P2. I wonder if they're going to do one more lap just to have a bit of bragging rights, but we'll see. I'm surprised F1 Nerd didn't get into the 112s, to be honest. He was very close, same in the Sawyers fella. But still plenty of time to get a bit of bragging rights as well. But we got to keep an eye on the people that are near the bottom, because they could be in danger of getting knocked out of Q2 and missing the final half of qualifying. So those are the ones who need to hook their lap together as well. But the track does evolve, as you were saying, session after session. So they maybe not quit in Q1, but they may find the pace in Q2. I think, is Sam going into the pits? No, she's not. She's doing another lap. Yep. It's going to be a 1:14.6. So at least it's still a lap at the moment, but not quite fast as the fast guys. But still, I think she didn't want to set a 1:34. She just wanted to get a lap together, so to get a feel for the track. Hannah's still in the pits as well. I think everyone's in the pits apart from Sam at the moment. So quite an end to the session, but that's because we've got 2 people already out, and the rest will definitely be through now as long as they don't bin it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a case of sort of conserving tyres where you can. I mean, in a session where you're already granted an unconditional pass, you don't want to be using too many of your tyres when that could be absolutely crucial for setting that absolutely top tier lap that you need to get near the top 5 or even pole position for some of these drivers. So they'll be hanging fire for now, but I think it was a wise choice for a lot of drivers to go out there and set a representative lap and understand what the conditions are like, because even in dry conditions, these tracks always feel a little bit different every time you come to them. So if you can just familiarise a little bit before you get out for tier Q2, then you're looking in certainly better shape to deliver the lap you want. That's going to get you the a result as high up the field as you can, given the lack of overtaking opportunities that come with the circuit. So good effort from some of those guys, particularly KG Boy and Snake up there in the 112s at these early stages.
Yeah, I figure it's hard to do a 112 in Q1 when it absolutely counts, but maybe because there was less pressure, maybe they were able to do well. But what happens if they go into those high pressure situations and they do bin it, they do invalidate, they only get one more chance to really get a lap together. But Yash, I think, wants to get into the 112 club, so he's on a lap at the moment. I wonder if he knows that he's definitely safe anyway, so let's just hope he doesn't bin it, because otherwise that will come back to bite him at the moment. As we were saying earlier, Aston Martin, top of the team's championship with Yash and Notorious Fella. But I'm sure those two want to be higher with Mercedes nipping at their heels at the moment. But we only have one Mercedes driver in the field right now, with obviously Bainsy not here due to personal and health reasons at the moment, which is understandable. But we'll hope you'll be racing soon before the final half of the season potentially as well. And don't forget, of course, in the final half of the season, we got a track that we don't even know about. The drivers will be voting on which track they would want to race in for the final round as well. But I don't think anyone would want to race Monaco. I know Luke wants for people to race Monaco, but they don't have to, they don't want to. But there's certain tracks that weren't picked for the calendar, like I would say Belgium. I'm trying to think what other tracks are not on the calendar. We've got Bahrain, of course, as well. Lots of other amazing tracks which people like but didn't get on the calendar. They may vote to race in the final round, but we will see as we get near the time, of course. But yeah, she's starting his run at the moment. Doesn't need to, of course, but again, the more time you're on track, the more practice you'll get for the start of Q2. But I wonder if he's on a new set or a scrub set. Oh, he's on a scrub set. Oh, he almost binned it.
Oh, had a big moment.
Yeah, that was close. Thank goodness he stopped the car in time. Otherwise, he would have been out of the session.
Yeah, it's really not the run he wanted out of that corner, but you know, he's done well to save it, because I think that was that could have very easily ended up in the barrier and just broke the front wheel off, it looked like. But yeah, I think probably just realised, you know what, let's just hold fire for now and worry about Q2, because obviously he knows he's through, I suspect. But it was just about really getting the maximum pace out of the car so that you're as prepared as you can be for the next session. So, but I mean, you know what, it's those little moments like that teach you a lot as well, because you know whether he's found the limit there clearly, so he doesn't want to go any more than that. In fact,
he's doing it again.
He is attempting another run. So he
God.
is very keen to improve this lap time.
Let's hope it doesn't backfire.
Turn 1 he is. No, I hope not, because those tyres might still be... I mean, he did back off for the rest of that last lap, so hopefully he's got his tyres back into a good window, because my concern now is that there's too much energy in those tyres already, and as he gets towards the end of the lap, particularly through this winding section, those tyres are going to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and they will not be appreciating any kind of torture through the final sector. So we'll see if he can hold it together for this lap and see what he can do, as he takes a lot of curb there. Really upset the car, but holds it together. Probably lost a bit of time in the process. Runs it nice and wide through these sweeping sections. Got a late apex on this corner, which he has basically got early on the power as you can. DRS is wide open. Heading down towards the mini stadium section of the circuit. Nice run through the apex. It's not quite hit the apex though. He's nice run through the corner either way, as he pushes it down towards the penultimate corner of the circuit. Have to nail this to really carry the speed out. Use plenty of curb and nice splash through the final bank turn. Run it wide. Oh, very close to the wall. I'm not quite sure. I don't think he touched it, but he's going to run up to the line. And it looked like he backed out. Yeah, he did back out. So it's just like it was a run to get some experience.
Yeah.
Ready for the next session at least. So yeah, P6 for him, and solid provisional pole at the moment for KG.
I think for Yash it would have been, in the 113s. I think it would have roughly been a 113.5, I would say, where he probably wouldn't have improved at all. But it doesn't matter. At least he gets feel for it. So because of Weller's crash, he's the only one that's, Weller and Alex crashed. Those are the only two that get knocked out. Everyone else is safe, from KG Boy all the way down to Hannah as well. Hannah felt like she didn't want to use any soft tyres in Q1, which is fair enough, which means she gets more tyres to play with either in Q2 or in Q3, depending on if she makes it, of course, as well. But Q1, not very interesting, of course, due to the fact that we had two crashes and we know who was going to make it through already. But now we're on for the spicy part of qualifying Q2. Four drivers will be knocked out of Q2, and we'll see the best 10 go through to Q3 and fight for pole position. But we got to keep an eye on the ones near the bottom, I think. The pressure is really on now. This is where qualifying does start now for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a thing in that last session, as you say. Those drivers didn't have any real pressure to deliver on their laps. So it does free up the mind a little bit to extract more pace out of the car. But now the difference is, of course, this is riding on something. You do want to try and get in that top 10 if you can. So there's going to be that extra bit of, checking the delta, see how the time's looking, and it takes your focus away from the lap. And it's those little details that make all the difference over a lap. And I think that's going to be an absolutely key, integral part to who can stay focused on their lap, who can really hook it up in the same way as they did in Q1. As I say, with that running in Q1, the track will have ramped up a little bit over the beginning of Q1 at least. So don't be surprised to see some laps coming down into the 12s here. But it may be that, as you say, also drivers may have just been keeping some pace in reserve for these next runs, so they weren't pushing it too hard in a session where it didn't matter a great deal. So as we see, the first few drivers are Haas and the AlphaTauri of Ogilvy and Vixra on their way out onto the track.
Yeah, so they'll be the first ones to set a benchmark on a set of the soft compounder tyres. It's hard to tell if it's used or not, but we'll get a little bit of a feel for it in just a moment. So it's not Ford that gets knocked out, sorry, because I forgot there was two crashes. 3 drivers will be knocked out. But if you do crash out of qualifying, then that will also be the end of your run, even if your lap was good enough to make it through into Q3 as well. And I do believe we will have a fully dry session for today, which is good news for both of us, and good news for the drivers as well, as they don't have to worry about wet in Danville. I think the last time I raced in FHK around Danville, and it was raining. I think for almost all of it, or was ready towards the end, I don't know, and it was very tricky. A lot of understeer as well, so at least the drivers won't have to go through that today, at least, unlike last week, of course. VK will be the first man, I believe, to start a lap time. A few people just waiting in the pits even more. They only have about 13 minutes or so compared to obviously the 80 minutes in Q1 to get some lap together. We obviously want to see what Hannah could do in her first run on the soft tyres, so her run will at least be new as well, but we're not sure about the others, of course. I wonder if some of just not push too much in the tyre life in general, just so they can get some laps in Q2 and not worry about the tyre wear as much as well. But VK extra as well. We'll see what he could do. Can he make it out of Q2, or will he be forced to start at no higher than 13th position? We'll have to find out very shortly. Purple sector 1, but I think it's just been matched by OG just behind him.
Yeah, looking really solid at the moment. These guys just trying to get that clean lap out. And obviously being the sole AlphaTauri driver, the pressure's on to really deliver here to try and get good points for the team. So yeah, hooking up quite nicely at the moment, but just say it's quite evenly matched at the moment. I'm sure the times are going to keep tumbling as the track beds in. And even their tyres bed in, hopefully their setups are tailored quite nicely to getting that heat into the tyre, but not too much that's caused them to overheat and slide laterally and have those big moments on the grass or the gravel, because there's really not a lot of room for error, as you say, around this circuit, but around the banking now. Been quite a nice lap, this one, it must be said. What is the time
Could be
going to
112s.
be?
Wow.
It's a 1:12.0. New fastest lap for the entire qualifying session so far. It's a 12.0, which is a fantastic lap. It must be said, as Ogilvy comes through for 12.9. It's already in the 12s for drivers who were in the 13s on the last lap, so it seems to me that they were certainly holding something in reserve.
We've got Hannah on a lap as well as she heads towards the middle sector. A few people just reserving a bit of pace in Q1, it seemed, as well, because VK Extra, that was a brilliant lap as well. He must have found more time in the middle and final sector, because his first sector wasn't that good at all. And the final sector is really what makes or breaks your lap time. But Hannah then up to the line. Can she get in the 112s? She can't. Very close though to the 112s, 113.2. So solid lap time for her, and a few hummers quicker than the other female driver of Ella Eagles as well, as VK has disconnected unfortunately. So hopefully he will join soon. We got Yash up to the line as well as Kenzie up to the line. Both setting 114s, 114.2 and 114.4 respectively. We also got the two Alpines with Justin, I think, had a bit of a spin, unfortunately, so I think she'll get to go again. What about her teammate Ginge on the lap right now? I don't think he was purple anywhere at the moment. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him. We'll hope for him they move out the way, which they do. It was one of the Ferraris, I think it must have been Hannah, that moved out of the way. But the two Ferraris were not that far behind each other, so probably it might have been Sam, but we don't know. But going through the stadium section, no, that was close to a spin for Mr. Ginge. So thank goodness he didn't clip that curb too much. Otherwise, it would have been game over for him before it's even begun. So Ginge, he's got a 1 minute 12.0 to beat if he wants to get top of Q2. He's got a 1:14 to beat if he wants to get into Q3. He did a 1:13.9, so on the bubble at the moment in P6. Everyone else either on outlaps or just about to go into the pits. VK has joined, good news, but I'm almost saying I think VK definitely, unless the track maps up even more, I think VK is definitely safe and should be very comfortable going into Q3.
I think so, yeah. Looking at the thresholds of the times there, he's got probably at least 2 seconds in favour there, to be honest. So
yeah,
if he wants to go again, it will be certainly for bragging rights, whether he can get that car into the 111s, or he can hold fire and save a run to try and get that elusive 111 in the third qualifying session. There's some good laps there, it must be said, all in the beginning to go into the low to mid 113s now for Hannah, Ella, Notorious Fella as well. Really good laps from those guys, it must be said. With Ginge, Yash, Kenzie and Samdo all around there trying to... I think they might be able to extract a little bit more time. We'll see what they can pull out in the next part of qualifying, was in the next part of this session. Because I think there's probably a little bit more time for a lot of those drivers. And the same could be said for Hanu, couldn't complete that lap without the little spin there. So there's definitely more time in there, absolutely. And obviously Snake, KG and Nerd, KG of which just coming up to finish his opening run. All have to finish a lap yet, and it could... It's not quite 13.2 as well. We've got 3 drivers running on a 13.2, so it's getting close in that sort of upper part of the midfield, setting very, very solid laps. But again, it's Vixra there. That's why I'm curious about what Snake can do here, because Vixra's really set the pace in this part of qualifying, while Snakey was the one setting it previously. So I wonder how close they're going to be, and how close KG and F1 Nerd can get as well. I think this could be a really crucial battle going into the rest of the session. And to me, it seems that Snakey and F1 Nerd are playing playing this strategically by just setting this last lap.
Snake purple sector 1.
Right, the session. Oh, he's going again, is he? I see. So he's taking a narrow line into that corner, though. He's not giving the best run out onto this straight.
It may be the game, though, lying. As always.
Yes. Oh, yeah, so 1.3 seconds over his last time, so this isn't representative in any way for him based on his previous effort. So I think he's just going to be pushing it round to get round so he can get in with enough time to change his tyres for probably another run, I would have thought, just to play it safe, because it is close right there.
Yeah, I think KG Boy was purple sector 1 and 2, but I think he lost it a little bit in sector 3. Wasn't quite comfortable on the curb. I think the curb cost him a little bit there, so that's why he probably lost a bit more time. But Snake, 1:12.7. So again, the final sector, that's where it's a make or break sector, really. You can't be good in the first sector and the middle sector, but it's the final sector which is the most tricky for some people. So F1 Nerd could be one of the drivers to get into the 1:12.2, so we'll keep an eye on him as he does his lap as well. Don't forget, the slowest 3 drivers in this session will be eliminated, and F1 Nerd does not want to be one of those drivers to do so, because he's the only driver yet to set a lap time. One of the drivers not to set a representative lap time for now. So F1 Nerd, he's going through the banking in that McLaren. The normal livery now is on the game. Can he get into the 1:12s? Yes, he can. P3 for him. 2 tenths quicker than OG in 4th position. We've got Hanu's on a lap now going through the first sector. She finds the first sector all right, actually. It's after that where she finds it very tricky, especially with medium traction that she's got on at the moment. And I tried it with medium traction earlier. It's an absolute nightmare doing it with medium traction, so that's why I stuck it to full. But she's now going through the corner that she finds most tricky, and she avoids the curb for good measure, which I think fair play to her, because if she didn't avoid the curb, that's why she would have gone into a little bit of a spin at the moment. So we've got Hun on at the middle of our lap then with a DRS though. Purple sector 2. Nah, that's a game lying. That's a game lying. I don't think that's a purple sector 2. But if she did get a purple sector 2, then that would have been quite good. The thing that's going to make or break her is the final sector. But Hun up to the line. Is it going to be a 1:12? 1:12.4. Wow. That is a very good lap time. That's better than her time trial lap time, I have to say. So, very good lap time from her.
Yeah, I can be very happy with that one. That's fun. Look, a very clean lap. And I noticed, as you mentioned earlier, with Ginge taking quite a lot of curb. And it's the same for KG. It cost him his 3rd sector. That was using the curb just the right amount, I would say. Because, you know, they're very, very costly if you take too much of them, and it will just lose you time. Even though you're trying to cut off the corner, it's just going to cost you more time in the long run as the car's upset. But that looked like it was dead right in terms of most of those key areas, and really hooked the lap together. So I'm sure she'll be very pleased with that lap. Only going a 100th and a half behind Snakey.
Wow.
So very, very good lap indeed. Very good lap.
She almost got pole last week as well, and she was absolutely gutted to have been stolen by Stephen, but she started P2. She didn't have the best of races, but I believe she finished. She did well in Tier 1 as well to finish that, and those conditions were quite tricky as well in Hungary. So fair play to all the drivers in both tiers last week that did finish. But if I were the top 3, I'll be breathing a sigh of relief. But if you are in the 113s, if I were you, I would go again. And I think KG Boy is going to be absolutely kicking himself, because he knows he can get into the 112s. I've seen him do 112s, 111s in practice earlier, and even yesterday in Hun's lobby. So he's got a lot to prove, but sometimes it's just the pressure that gets to him with being a full qualifying session. Even if he set like a 112, 111 in practice, if you don't do it on the day, then that will cost you a chance to fight for maybe the win in the race. But we have seen faster drivers come up through the field before, so it doesn't mean KG Boy can't do it. But KG Boy is going to start his run now, and he's got a lot of time to find to be the guy on pole position right now, but I'm almost certain he can find a 112. He's just got to find time in the final sector. His sector 1 and 2 is fine. It's just the final sector is where he lost a lot of time. But yeah, if I was VK Snake and maybe F1 Nerd as well and OG, I would potentially stay in the pits. OG, I think, may go out. He is going out, actually, for another run. So I'm guessing he doesn't feel like he's safe at the moment.
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of those drivers down there, even sort of 6th or even 5th downwards, might feel a little bit unsure at this stage. I saw Sam improve up to 10th there for 13.7. Shortly after that, Ella put in a 12.9, only 100th behind Ogilvy in 5th. So looking good for the McLarens at the moment in 4th and 6th, respectively, at this point in time. So I think it's Ogilvy coming up to the line next. I can't get to it.
Yeah, he is.
And they are, yep.
1:12.9.
And they have improved a little bit then, I guess. Or is that...
I don't know. Was that the same lap? That's good. Oh,
hasn't just matched his lap, has he? Or is that a glitch?
Oh, that's a glitch. He's on another run. He's on another run, I think. But he is saving a bit of VRS going through that banking. It's hard to tell. It's annoying with this game. They say they're on a lap, but they're not. Or they're on out laps and they're not. It's just so confusing. But I think Ginge is on a lap now. He's 2/10 down on his previous best in the middle sector. We've got Yash, who is going to start his run right now, going through the final sector. Oville, I can't say his name to save his life, and I think he's told me that I pronounced it wrong this whole time. So sorry about that. I'm rubbish with names, but he's back. Yeah, he's backed off. It looks like. Yeah, he's backed off a bit. But he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to secure his spot, but I think he should be okay. KG Boy is looking less of a threat at the moment. He's more vulnerable to getting knocked out of Q2. Last week's race winner, we don't want this to happen for the Mercedes driver, but this is more likely from him. Purple sector 2. Let's keep an eye on his sector 3. We'll see being out a lot better than last time round. They've got a bit of debris from one of the Ferraris, it looks like, coming up in front of him. But sector 3, oh, he's on the grass. I don't think it's going to be
a lot of grass.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a 1:12, but you never know. 1:12.0. It could have been top of the session if he didn't hit that grass, but surely that's safe for him, for KG to take part in Q3. But everybody else, I can't wait to see what they can do. And pretty much unsurprisingly, the top 5 are apart from KG Boy, are still in the pits.
Yeah, I think they're feeling pretty safe at this point. They're just inside that threshold where it's, you can certainly feel some ease that no one's going to get, but at least those drivers behind aren't going to get near that at this stage. With only 20 seconds left in the session. Kenzie started his lap as well, so he's hoping to improve. Yash is down a lot, but probably is coming around to start another run. Ginge as well, maybe is just sort of backed out that last lap to give it another try. I think Hannah's on a representative lap at this point, coming through the penultimate corner, and gets a nice little run there, so hoping to carry some speed out onto the main straight, and it could be an improvement. It is an improvement up to 8th with a 12.9. As Ogilvy backs out of his lap as well, so he's come into the pits.
He should be fine now because there's 3 drivers left in the bottom and he's 6th. So if you're in the top 6, maybe I think top 7. Yeah, if you're top 7, you should be fine. So Ella is safe as well. So well done to her, and so is obviously VK, KG Boy, Snake, Hun as well. Hannah, I think, is just on that bubble at the moment, and I did see someone
improves. It displaces Sam.
So Sam is out of qualifying. What a shame for her, but still 11th will be very happy, I think, for that. We've got Yash and Ginge about to finish their run. So we'll watch Yash first, and then Ginge. He's got to find a 1:13.1 to get, 1:13.6 to get into the next part of qualifying. And 1:12.9. Very good. What could Ginge do? Ginge is out. P13. He couldn't make it.
Enough. No, not enough. So that's Sam, and was it Notorious Fella who was
I don't know,
sitting 10th at that point? It was Notorious Fella. So ironically, it was Yash, the Aston Martin, displacing his teammate out of Q2, which there'll be a sour taste in the mouth for Aston Martin at that point. But yes, Ginge, Sam, and Fella don't progress, unfortunately there. But we got a very close battle in the top 2. Vixra and KG only, as I say, 100th and a half apart.
Wow.
Very, very close indeed.
Bring it on Q3, because I know VK and Koji Boy, that's going to be quite intense pole position, and obviously Snakey as well, but we have to see the guys in the midfield to see what they do as well, but unfortunately, fella, which is a huge surprise, Sam and Ginge will not be taking any further part in qualifying, but it will be up to the top 10 to see what they can do. It's quite a few people's first time in Q3, so well done to them. I think most people have already done Q3 before, but for some people, it's their first experience in the top 10 of this session to see who they can, if they can get pole position. Of course, obviously Hun almost got pole, but it was in short qualifying, but she actually made it into Q3, so I wonder if she can challenge up there as well. But I think it's going to be tough, I think, to place to displace the top 2. I think they're on a whole nother level. I did say people can get to the 111s. I'm confident that one of the top 2 will get into the 111s. Maybe the ones in the midfield, like F1 Nerd, can get into the 111s as well. But we are into Q3, of course, and we're seeing quite an evenly spread of Xbox and PlayStation platforms there in the grid in Q3 today. So that's great to see, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Not just the the spread in gender around at the moment, but also having so much representation from the crossplay element of it, because that was a key element of FHK, bringing in more people from other platforms, and it's certainly succeeding at the moment, even with just the top 10 here. 4 of which are represented from platforms outside of PlayStation, which is absolutely fantastic to see, it must be said. And it's how competitive it is as well. Can I just point out, that was so close to a lot of drivers, and those that are out, there should be no shame for those that are out in Q2.
No.
Because that was insanely competitive. And if that's a taste of what's to come in Q3, I'm dead excited about this. Because not only, there's some drivers who have probably pulled out a lap they've never done round here in that last session, and then they've got to go and do it again. That's a big ask for some who are inexperienced in dealing with sessions with this kind of pressure. So I'm really curious about who can pull this out again.
I'm excited. Bring it on. So this is the top 10 then who have made it through into Q3, and the fastest lap time we will see will get pole position and will start pole for the Dutch Grand Prix here today, of course. And Oakville is the first drive again to go on to the track, but behind him is actually one of the Aston Martins. Actually, it's not the AlphaTauri this time. The AlphaTauri is just sitting pretty at the moment in the pit lane. We also got Han on the lap, F1 Nerd on the lap as well. And obviously Yash, as I was just speaking about as well, everyone else is in the pit. There'll be quite a few people on scrub set, so we won't see fast times yet unless people have saved a bit from Q2, like the top guys as well who didn't come out. I think that most of the top 5 didn't come out at the end of the last session, so they will have some tyres saved up for Q3. But for ones who had to get some laps in to make it into Q3, who are in the borderline, they will be on a scrub set. So Og, let's see what he could do to start his lap. Then he'll be the first person to set the borderline benchmark at the moment. I wonder if we will see any surprises like we saw in Q2 potentially. Can we see a surprise 111? Can we see someone that maybe sandbagged in Q2 maybe get up the top?
Yeah, I think so. There's still that elusive 111 that all these drivers will be looking for, I suspect. Vixra and KG Boy, Snake, F1 Nerd, even Yash, I would say as well. There's a lot of drivers there, even Hun as well. It must be said, there's a lot of talent pool here, as I say that, it's just Ogilvy's just looped it in the middle sector of the lap, taken probably too much curb, I suspect, and it's upset the balance of the car. And that's his first attempt over and done with. He's very careful to allow those other drivers through, as one of them, McLaren's as well, as Ella, I believe, had a bit of a moment out that corner. So at the moment, it's just Yash and KG still on a representative lap at this point. So the challenge is there, as I say, the pressure's on to really hook these laps up. But obviously there is still time to have another crack at it. So I'm sure they'll be coming in, or if they've got enough fuel, they'll go round again, give it another try, given they've not been at a full push lap on that run. As Yash brings up to the line, using as narrow line as he can. It's a 13-0 to begin with, so there's a good chance that's a scrub set.
Yeah.
As he made a mistake on the lap. As Hun puts in a 12-9 as well. Goes provisional pole for the Alpine team. Which is good news for Ginge, who couldn't quite make it through into Q3. So Hun carrying Alpine for the rest of
F1
qualifying
Nerd.
as 12.8 for F1 Nerd in the McLaren. It's a fantastic lap as well. Again, as you point out, these are probably scrub sets, so they're not really up to speed yet. They'll be saving that all for that final all last-ditch run to extract the most they can, as Hannah pops in a 13.3 as well. So down at the lower end of with respect to times, but definitely more to come.
Yeah, definitely more to come. But some of these drivers, of course, they want to save a lot of their tyres for the final part of this qualifying session when it all counts. And I think Ella is on a scrub set as well in that McLaren. And because she, I think, is a bit more relieved, I think, to make it to the next part of qualifying, because she was just safe. She was, I believe, P7 in that last session, but she was quite lucky that everyone else made a mistake around her. But she's looking more comfortable this lap on a set of the scrub tyres as well, but not as comfortable through the final sector. Saying that, I spoke too soon. 1:12.4 for Ella Riggles. I think that was definitely on a new set, I'm almost certain, because I think she did save a tyre for this part of qualifying. So that is pretty good. I expect to see, I think, the females being a lot more competitive today, and that's very, very exciting. Snake's about to start his run as well, and I believe that's it for now. But Ella Riggles then on provisional pole, but there was still more time to be found. I think we could see maybe in the top 5 potentially in the race, but we'll see. I'll probably jinx her now, but we'll see.
No, it'll be hopefully it's not bottom 5 now. But honestly, they're setting really strong times in these early stages, given the nature of the tyres that they're on. And to have 3 of the 4 female drivers enter this race in Q3 as well, and setting great lap times is really
all
promising.
The OGs.
Absolutely.
All the OGs.
Absolutely. There's excellent stuff for now, as we've got Snake coming through towards the end of Sector 2 and this mini straight, getting all the benefit he can from that DRS, and looking to set the record straight for Q3. By popping it on provisional pole if he can, after his strong performance in Q1. So see what time he can extract here. It's looking quite strong at this point. What's it going to be?
Wow.
It is an 11.7. We have a 1:11, and it does come from Snake in the Red Bull, and that is a very strong lap time, and certainly sets down the gauntlet for the likes of KG, Vixra, F1 Nerd, and just to name a few, really.
Wow, that is a very good lap time. I think it's going to be very hard for people to beat that unless the track ramps up. So I think Vixra and KG Boy, I think, are going to be like, hang on, I don't think I could beat that, but I'm still going to push on anyway. And the thing is, the danger that these drivers are going to be facing at the moment is they may overdo it. And if they do overdo it, then that might be it for qualifying for them, as Vixra almost overdid it in the first sector there. But we'll keep an eye on their sector times to see if they match Snake's sector 1 time. And we'll see if Vextra will get purple. He is purple in the first sector at the moment, 25.0 at the moment. KG Boy, 20. I didn't see what his sector time was in the first sector, but he was purple. So they are exchanging sector times at the moment. So I think this could be close between Vixtra and KG Boy in this session. But they're only going to have time, I think, to set maybe this lap, unless they can go into the pits very, very quickly. Vixtra, purple sector 2. As yellow flag, that was KG Boy that had a bit of a moment. So I wonder if he's going to dive into the pits and go on a fresh set of those soft tyres. Because otherwise he won't have time to set another run. But Vixtra will at least set a lap anyway. Is it going to be enough to get into the 1:11s and beat Snake's time of 1:11.7? The answer to that is no. But that was so close. 1:11.8 for him. So it must have been that final sector where Snake gained the time. Or it might have just been Snake was a bit more consistent. We got Ovi, who is on a lap as well. Who seems to be a little bit more in better shape this time than his previous spins, I would say, in the Haas. So in 9th place at the moment. Doing well for the Xbox side. Can he? He's not going to get into the 1:11s, I don't think, but can he get into the 12s? Yes, he can. 1:12.7 then. So KG Boy goes into the pit. Snake is in the pit as well. I don't think Vic's just going to have enough time, but we don't know. We'll have to wait and see with how short of a lap it is around here. But strap yourself in, folks. We're going to be in for a really close qualifying.
Yeah, definitely so. As F1 Nerd, I think, made a slight improvement in the McLaren. He's on a 12.8 at the moment, which puts him 5th. Again, strong performance from the McLaren so far. But as I say, there's still KG Boy to set a lap. I think Yash and Hannah, I think, will be hoping to make some improvement before the end of the session. So I'm just looking for who is next on a lap. I think we've got Hun out on an out lap currently. He's coming through the final sector of the lap. And we're probably hoping to extract a little bit more out of that car, given the performance in Q2. And obviously there's a chance that dude's on a scrub set, so this is probably the new Q3 set. It's allocated to all those that progress into the final session, and is powering down the main straight, and sends it into turn 1 for that late apex. Nicely clipped at the end there, and looking to really hook this up. It's all about rhythm through here, and you can take a narrow line into that bank section, but it's down to the driver's preference. You can carry a bit more minimum speed on the wider line, even though it's longer. And sweeping through this fast winding section is improving by 1/10.5 through sector 1 at this stage. And it takes a bit of curb on the outside, but it's to straighten up the corner. Can get away with that as long as it doesn't upset the balance too much. And it takes again a nice apex point there, carrying the speed out. And a little bit narrow into this corner, but again, can make it work as long as you clip the apex nicely. Those curbs, as I say, extremely deadly around this circuit. And again, nice run through here. 6/10, over 6/10 up so far on this lap. Taking a nice run out of the final towards the penultimate corner. And again, it's a really clean lap, this one. Should be happy with this one as long as you can keep it clean through the bank section. And winds it up round and takes a narrow line to close up, cut off the corner. And it is a 12-0, progressing up to P3 at this stage. Displaces both McLarens, which is a really, really strong lap, it must be said. So yeah, very impressive to knock off about 6, maybe 7 tenths off the previous run, right at the death.
I think that's similar to what I could do, I think, in the final part of this qualifying session. So good job as well. And you can tell she's been practicing as well. She may have found a setup that suits her now, because look at the way she hit the car in sector 1 especially. It was incredible. So she is the fastest of the female drivers at the moment. We got Snake, who is on a lap at the moment. I'm guessing he wants to find a bit more time to make sure no one else can beat Snake's lap time at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on him, but he's a few seconds down. So I don't think it's going to be an improvement, but I think, and we've got VK in the pit, so I think he's realised that VK's in the pit, so he's going to go into the pits as well. So I think the only man that could displace him either could be Hannah, KG Boy, maybe Kenzie as well, as my monitor was about to switch off there, as I was about to switch that on. So there we go. As Hannah does not improve, well, she does improve, but only to P7. Yash can't improve. He's binned it. Going through turn 4, it looks like. KG Boy, purple in the middle sector. Could this be enough to displace the top 2 and get on to pole position? And we've got F1 Nerd on a lap as well. We'll see if he can cross the line. He's 8 tenths down, unfortunately. So that's only going to put him, stays in P4. Can KG Boy get to... Ooh. No! 12-1 for KG Boy. So again, that final sector costed him. So it is Snake with that time he set early on. No one else could beat that. Pole position for him and fixture as well. Great lap from all of the top 5, I would say. So close between all 5 of them. It could go either way in the race. And then we got Ella as well, and the guys behind that. So close as well. Anyone can win the race, and with it being a dry race as well, it's anyone's game. But good lap from Snake, and that resulted him in pole position for him.
Yeah, it was a really, really strong performance from basically every driver there, it must be said. A few mistakes, but it comes with this circuit. It is very, very challenging. But yeah, Snake absolutely pulled it out of the bag at the end there and set down the gauntlet, really, for everybody else. And that's where the pressure on, I think, was on for KG. I noticed on that penultimate corner, took a lot more curb than he would have liked, and it probably cost him an awful lot of time. And there's a good chance it may well have cost him a front row start. that little mistake, because it was looking really good up to that point. But, you know, the pressure's on, you got to deliver it, and wasn't quite enough at that stage. But there's still a long race ahead. Strategy certainly comes into it, but with it being a dry race, it does give the drivers an opportunity to really push to their limit and give it the best that they can. So yeah, good luck to all of them, because that was a very, very strong qualifying session overall.
Yeah, it was. And I think Kenzie put in the chat that they're convinced Snake is secretly Supermax there. Well, it's a Red Bull pole position in a track, home track to Max Verstappen. So I could see why Kenzie put that in the chat. Well, that's very well played there from Kenzie at the moment. But strategy, as he's saying, will play a massive factor. It will be a chance for people to maybe use those softs potentially at the end, or maybe they want to play it safe and do mediums to hards potentially as well. But most of them will have a spare set of mediums under their belts if they wish to use it, if there was a safety car in the middle of the race as well. So we'll probably see more people this week start on the mediums, and then if they realise they made a mistake, then they can come in later on as well and be on fresh medium tyres until the end of the race. But we're about to get going. Dry session for the drivers. I usually ask in chat who you think will get pole position, win the race, but I think it could be quite close, so it could be anyone they can get at the top. And but we saw in Hungary there was a lot of spins in Hungary, and we're probably going to see spins, I think, in the turn 7 area as well, I think, today, and maybe turn 4 as well. So I think it's just going to kind of boil down to who's been consistent today. I think that will potentially score well for the team's championship.
Yeah, it's one thing to deliver a lap in qualifying, which is all well and good, and it's really crucial around a track like this. But you've also got to be prepared to set those consistent lap times all the way from lights to flag. The most consistent you can be, the shorter your race time is. To be careful with how you make moves, and just if you have got more clear air, if you've got the opportunity to get clear air for your strategy, make the most of that. It's one of those where overcuts could be really powerful with the tyre behaviour, and obviously the lack of overtaking opportunities around the lap. So yeah, plenty to digest from a strategic perspective, I'm anticipating, but it does throw up opportunities for drivers to make up ground quite quickly if there's rivals ahead having very, very close battles. So there's plenty to work from here, but it's all about race strategy now. You've delivered the lap the best you can. Now it's about just getting that consistency all the way through the race, and hopefully it pays off for as many of these drivers as possible.
Some drivers could be on for their best result of the season as well, so we'll see what they can do. There were certain drivers that DNF'd last week, did not score any points. OV, one of those drivers as well that didn't score many points last week, and Vixtra as well, who did well in qualifying as well. But there are certain drivers that really need to keep their streaks on a high as well. The drivers that were on podiums, like KG Boy, example, with the win as well, did not have the qualifying section that he was expecting. He was expecting to be challenging Snake for pole, so he's got a lot of work to do to fight the likes of Snake and Vixtra, where qualifying was just so important. Turn 1, lap 1, I think it's going to be very key for a lot of the drivers. I think Alex got disqualified from the formation lap, and Vixtra as well. It is immersive, don't forget, so they have to do it manually on this game, which I find very, very hard on this game, to be honest, especially around here. I think Hun's done the same. Any more, or are we going to get another... I think we're just waiting for a few more drivers to go into their grid spots, actually. We've got the 2 Aston Martins, the Alpine of Ginge as well. So we've got 1 PC driver as well, of Weller, who I feel has not had the best of seasons so far. He scored 18 points. The main points he scored were in Monza and in Miami. But we are about to get underway for the 6th round of the championship. The second half of the season's about to begin for Tier 2. And we are underway. It was a long haul for all the drivers, but let's see who gets a better getaway. It looks like it's Snake at the moment as they make their way towards turn 1. KG Boy is trying to cover off Hun as well, but we got the McLeod. The McLeod's having a good start as well, as Hun stuck in a McLeod sandwich, it looks like, at the moment, as Ella Wriggles up to 5th place, so she's had the start of dreams at the moment. Sam's not had a good start. She's down to P15 as well, but everyone's still in that big train as they make their way towards the tricky curb section, which I find quite tricky on this game at the moment. But Snake is starting to pull away from Vixtra, which is just what he needed to start this race on a high. But pretty much the top 4 remain as they are, but the main squabbling is happening from the guys behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good start for KG, actually. He got the jump on Hun straight off the start, moving up into that top 3 position for the time being. Ella also getting the jump on her teammate as well, Nerd, who is starting on the hard, so he's definitely going for the long game over the first part of this race. We'll be hoping there's no real safety car intervals to really make the most of that. As a Notorious Fella and Ginge making up big gains as well, must be said. 2 and 3 places respectively for those guys. There's Hannah further back, who's lost 3, as is Sam as well. So not a good start for the Ferraris, but it is a long way to go. As I think, as Alex had a moment, or somebody has, along with Sam through the final banked corner. And we got Notorious Fella in the pits as well. So
damage, I think.
Damage somewhere. Yeah, so that's not a good start for him in any way whatsoever. You really don't want to lose the pack here, because if you can, you want to get the DRS to pull you along. But that's not going to happen anymore, so that's not good for him. We'll be hoping for a safety car. So a very, very good start for Snake. And we've got Victor and KG Boy in hot pursuit at this point. And they'll be very pleased with that start. A bit of a gap forming already between Nerd and Ogilvy. Phil getting backed up behind the Haas.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see 2 different battles start to form then, with all of the medium runners in the top 5 right now, and the ones on the hards starting to struggle. And I think that Ogilvy is probably getting a bit annoyed that he's stuck behind F1 Nerd, but F1 Nerd doing a brilliant job trying to defend from the guys behind as well, because we've got the likes of Kenzie and Yash on those soft tyres as well. They're also potentially going for the aggressive strategy at the start, as F1 Nerd does get past his teammate of Ella, then up into 5th place. So he's back to where he was at the start of the race, which is great to see at the moment. Ella seems to be struggling, as Ogilvy has got past her up into 6th place for now. So he is really starting to get those tied up temperatures. There's a bit of contact from the both of them, as Ogilvy, I was about to say, his tyres were definitely up to an operating window, and he almost hit the guys in front of Weller as well. But yeah, he's got a bit of damage there as well. I think same with Ella as well. Ella's got no front wing, so unfortunately she'll have to go into the pits, but at least she's got a front wing. But Alex has got no front wing at all wheel. He's out of the session, and we have got a virtual safety car deployed. I wonder what's that going to do for some of the drivers. And I don't think anyone's going to pit at all, because the tyres won't get to the end from here. But there's been some occasions, hasn't it, when some VSCs turn into a full safety car. But not at the moment. And again, that is another retirement for Alex. I think the only retirements he hasn't had was, I think, in Monza, where he didn't have that retirement. Same with Austria as well. The other races he has retired or not attended a race. So both the races he's retired. The first 2 races, I think it was Austria where he didn't retire. All the other races he DNF'd or did not start. But we are back underway, as Kenzie, I think, into the pits. That was bad timing for him. I think he wanted to gain a bit more of advantage, but unfortunately, that cost him a bit there. But let's see if he could get back up with the pace towards the middle half of the race there.
Yeah, definitely. It's some bad run for a lot of those drivers. And to be honest, a bad season for Alex gets worse, really, for that. There seemed to be a lot of jostling for position. Following the contact between Ella and Ogilvy, it looked like there was a bit more clashing after that. And, this track is very narrow, and it does throw up issues when you've got a lot of cars in close proximity, and I think that's probably what happened there. It looked like Alex got tangled with somebody, and as a result of that has been thrown into the wall. So obviously I have to look at that again, but to me it just looks like one of those where there's a lot of cars going for the same piece of tarmac, and usually someone comes off worse. As we've had another incident, it is Ogilvy and Weller round, is it? Or Kenzie?
I think you're out near as well. Kenzie's still going, so Ogilvy is down in 10th, and I think he will be going into the pits maybe as well, because his tyres must be absolutely cooked. But a driver that's looking very menacing out in front, in third at the moment, is KG Boy on the back of Vixture. Snake has got a comfortable gap in front with a 2.2 second gap. I think the Vixture is being more vulnerable in second and under pressure from both of the drivers behind. Hun is finding it quite nicely in fourth position as well. She's got a comfortable gap between herself and F1 Nurse, so she must have found a bit more of a groove to this track, because she was a bit worried before the race today, but I'm guessing she's a bit more comfortable. But KG Boy's going to have the DRS then on Vixture. We'll see if he can get past down the inside, or will he back off into the turn 1 section. He's going to back off so he can have the DRS down the long straight where he can get a massive toe. And I think that's a very smart move for the Mercedes driver. Hun is not going to have DRS. We've got another yellow flag. That is a Alfa Romeo. That is Weller once again, who is his woes is adding on today and is not liking this track at all. As KG Boy then, he's going to go for the run to the right hand side. Going to take the shortest run and almost get swiped, but KG Boy gets the move done on Vixture, and KG Boy is up into second place. Will he hold it on for this lap, or will Vixture get him back? But KG Boy then, this is crucial now for this race to try and close up on Snake, but it may be too little too late, but we'll see, as Weller again goes for another spin.
Yeah, it was a really nice move. It's unfortunate for Weller there, it must be said, because obviously it's very punishing when your tyres get up to a certain temperature like that. It's very difficult to get them back into the right window, and that's all he's struggling with now, is just really trying to get that car back to the pits to get some fresh tyres on it, because it is absolutely unforgiving. It's a great move there for KG though to get that done down the main straight. Obviously overtaking is very difficult, but he was close enough to make the most of the DRS to get a move done down the inside, and from what I could see it looked clean. Oh, and he's driven off the circuit on the approach to the penultimate corner. It's a very strange incident, it must be said. So he does get away with that, I think. No damage or anything. So yeah, very fortunate he didn't throw it all away in that moment, as Snake continues to get away. 3 seconds now the gap. KG using a little bit of curb there, try and cut off the corner. It's a very dangerous game to play though. As Hun basically in no man's land at this point with F1 Nerd on the hard tyres. I suspect that will probably come back to him a little bit later on. So yeah, looking pretty solid for the cars behind, but it's getting very close between Yash and Hannah. Obviously Yash trying to make the most of those soft tyres, and I think has got the move done on Hannah, or is Hannah now trying to get through on him? But it's very close through this winding section, very close indeed.
Yeah, that was super tight between the pair of them as well. I think Hannah's also found a little bit of a groove as well, as they make their way towards turn 7 and 8, as we're on the lap 7 of 36 at this moment in time. Snake still leads, and I think KG Boy, is out of DRS. Well, it's broken the DRS range from Vixture then, so KG Boy is remaining in second position, but it's Hannah now going to get past. Oh, KG Boy's made a mistake. He's lost his front wing, and as I was saying that, the banking has unfortunately claimed another victim, and that unfortunately was the driver that was challenging for the race lead, and now that gives Snake a very comfortable gap from the rest of the pack, and that's KG Boy's race ruined. Our race winner from last week is down in the dumps, unfortunately, as KG Boy goes on to a set of the hard compounder tyres that could get to the end realistically, but it is going to be an absolute living nightmare for the rest of this race now. So I'm a bit worried for them, but they're in the pits now. Yash is in the pits as well, so he must have had damage somewhere too, or he might be doing a 2-stop race. I don't know. We shall see. I think this race, it's gone a bit quieter now. Everyone's just found in their rhythm and their groove at the moment, and with some people making a mistake, I think the ones who were fighting are just a little bit left for dust at the moment as Notorious Fella is now trying to get past his teammate. I wonder how that's going to go down at Aston Martin HQ.
Yeah, I don't think they'll want too many antics given some of the incidents happened so far. As KG's had a moment just behind them, has not coped with those tyres very nicely at all. They take a little while to get up to temperature, so that's the challenge he's going to find now, is just gradually getting them into the window they need to be at, and playing the patient game from this point. But yeah, it's a case of the Aston Martins definitely trying to behave themselves as best they can, because they're on different strategies, with Notorious Fella running the soft tyres and Yash only just now going on to fresh medium. So I think this is only going to fall into Yash's favour in terms of pace, as those soft tyres continue to drop off over this stint, which I know I can see that Fella's already made a stop with the age of those soft tyres. So there's a long race ahead, and it's a case of understanding each other's strategies and working as a team to get the most out of the situation. And to be fair, that may well be the case here, given that Yash and Fella's gap is less than a second. So through this process, Yash will be pulling him along a little bit. So we'll see what they can do in terms of race pace. It's still a fair way to go in this, of course. Just they don't want to start getting tangled up with each other, and just ruining their overall race time, frankly. But they will have another car to deal with up ahead. With Sam, never mind Sam having a moment out of that corner and gifting the position to both of them nearly. Yash goes through quite easily, but Fella and Sam don't. Oh no, Sam's struggling with those tyres clearly. So Fella's managed to get through as well. So both Astons make up a position.
Yeah, so Sam's struggling a little bit there, unfortunately. Don't forget, this is her first race in this league, so finding it a bit more hard than everybody else. But again, the more races you do, the more experience you get, and you may not be up the pace of other drivers straight away, but imagine what you will be a few races down the line once you've experienced a lot more of the game's mechanics as well. So Sam unfortunately struggling a little bit more than everybody else. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about strategy now, as it's quietened down once again. Now the softs early last 11 laps, so Fella will be coming in, I believe, will be on a set of the hard tyres in his next pit stop, unless he used the hard tyres already, or he may wait until a little bit later on to go onto the medium tyres, because those last 20 laps. As yellow flag, that is KG Boy once again, that's binned it at the start of sector 2 and hit the wall once more. So is that a front wing? Nope, his front wing's intact, but I think his rear wing might be a bit damaged, so he may lose a bit of downforce because of that as well. So I think it's that sector that a lot of drivers are struggling today as well, as unfortunately Weller is lapped by quite a few of the drivers already, which is a bit of a shame, but as long as he keeps going, that's all right. But the medium runners will be pitting around about lap 15, 16 for a set of the hard tyres, but if there's a safety car, they would probably come in around about lap 16 potentially as well, but we will have to wait and see. The hards can last 28 laps, the majority of this race, so if a safety car comes now, those hards could get to the end for at least the guys who have stayed on those mediums. And to be fair, the top three are hardly made any mistakes so far, and as long as they keep it on the road, they should be fine.
Yeah, it's a case of trying to, as I say, with the consistent laps, it's about preserving the life of the tyre, but still maintaining a good lap time. So there's a number of drivers here who are running those mediums from the start, and in fact F1 Nerd on the hards as well, and they're just trying to embed those tyres into the session. And obviously I think it plays into Nerd's favour a little bit in that sense, as KG retires from the session
Safety
out of that
car.
right-hand again. Is that a full safety car?
Yes,
and we've had
it is.
Ogilvy crossing the white line there, because it's just called and he's dived in for the tyres, and didn't look a legal entry to me, but we'll have to check that.
I didn't catch that, unfortunately.
He was looking to get in and get the benefit of the tyre change under safety car conditions, which he will do, but obviously it may have been an illegal entry, so we'll check on that as Sam also speeds into the pit lane. So I think at this point there's a good opportunity for those on the mediums to dive in and get onto the hard tyres position, who I highly doubt will pit under this safety car, because it won't be long after this safety car finishes that we sorry, just bear with me a second.
You've left the session.
Is the race still going?
Yeah, the race is still going.
Right.
It's
me
all right.
that's left. My apologies. Carry on.
Yeah, do you want me to send you an invite?
Rough has. Never mind. Sorry
okay,
about
good.
that.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's fine. You did cut off a little bit there, just a little bit there, but I think you're back now, which is good news. But luckily it's a safety car anyway, so it came at a right time. Anything. I kind of wish it didn't happen, but there we go. So I think everybody was on the mediums is going to go onto the hard. Snake's on the hard. Vixture, Hun. F1 Nerd is on the mediums. I believe he was on the hards. Those mediums are not going to get to the end. I would say lap 16 it would be, but it may be a bit of a push. Really, really tough. The hards being the more durable tyre, as Hannah is in the pit lane. She's on the hards as well. Ogilvy, I think, was very glad that the safety car came when it did. We'll see if the undercut has helped him on Hannah. Nope, it hasn't. Hannah's overcut worked quite nicely. Ella stayed out. That is interesting. I don't think she's got some hards left. Kenzie obviously pitted as well. So pretty much most people actually have pitted, even some of the hard runners as well, onto a set of the medium tyres. So bringing on for a lot of these guys. And we've got Ginger, who's moved it up to 5th place. So he has had a good race so far as well. We'll look at positions gained, because most people have made their pit stops. Positions gained. There we go. Mr. Ginge gained the most. Yash gained 4. Hannah's gained 2. F1 Nerds gained 1. The top 3 pretty much stayed as they are. Biggest loser, though, will have to be KG Boy, who's DNF. And obviously Ella down 3 and Kenzie down 2. And Ogilvy is down 1 as well. So unfortunate for them. But that has neutralised the race a little bit, and shame for Weller because he's a lap down. The game mechanics, unfortunately, he can't unlap himself, unlike real life, which is a bit of a shame. But that will mean everyone will lap him now, so his race has gone from bad to worse. But if he finishes, though, don't forget, top 15 will get points, so it's not over yet. And are you back in the session, Kieran?
I am indeed, yeah, I'm all back in now. So, yeah, fascinating situation with regards to the strategy, actually, because, well, from a strategic point of view, at least, F1 Nerd, that's quite an interesting decision to pit for the mediums now, because that is a long stint on the mediums. I doubt they will make it. So he's probably going to have another pit stop to make, although he'll have the pace at the beginning over the hard tyre runners. And speaking of those on the hards, we saw how much KG was struggling on his tyres initially out of the pits. Now, I expect the tyre's going to be even colder under this scenario, being under safety car conditions. So everyone on hard tyres is going to have to be extremely careful in these following laps after the restart, because they do take a long time, at least 2 or even 3 laps to get up to a working window. The fortunate thing is this track has a lot of sweeping, fast to medium speed corners where you can really gather speed and put energy into the tyre. So they'll be hoping for that, and they quickly get up to some kind of working temperature to give them the pace they need. So keep an eye on F1 Nerd and Yash and even Ella there on medium tyres, who will really try and make the most of that extra grip from, frankly, a softer compound relatively. So yeah, fascinating restart in prospect, I think.
Yeah, and the safety car is in then, will be in this lap, so Snake will be controlling that restart, and as soon as he accelerates, he's got to go. He can't slow down and then speed up again. That is not allowed. That's what caused F1 Nerd to get a penalty in Monza, so that will play on Snake's mind. And I wonder if Snake is going to catch Vixture out a bit, or I wonder if he's going to play it safe. So he's got to play it right, because he can't give each other a toe, and he's done the right thing then by going a little bit later than everybody else. As Jin, Chun and F1 Nerd were having a bit of a scrap there for third position. Ginger, I think, got the best of both drivers, and Hunter's dropped 2 positions as a result. So I think the ones on the mediums are definitely doing a lot better, but Ginger on those hards, I think, had a bit more life in them, and he warmed his tyres a bit more as well, and a better pace. So Ginger up to third, Nerd up to fourth, Hun down to fifth place. Ogilvy is gaining a bit of positions as well from Han and Yashi. So Yashi's down to seventh place as a result as well. A few people, I think, just starting to struggle. Wello, I think, getting lapped by a few cars as Yash goes down the inside of Og as he goes down into the DRS zone. And I think Ginger's been passed by F1 Nerd. Yes, he is. So F1 Nerd is back up into third position, but he's a little bit further away from the top two. So can he use his mediums to his advantage to get past the top two? And I think Hun almost got Ginger there, but not quite. So fascinating opening few laps, but Fixture still closing in on Snake, so that's great to see.
Yeah, it is. It looks like all the hard tyre runners are certainly struggling a little bit more with that warm-up phase than the mediums, as F1 Nerd capitalises fully on that by taking third place off of the other Alpine as those the two Alpines begin to scrap themselves. And yeah, certainly some interesting battles forming further back. Certainly quite a long DRS train behind Ginger, I think actually it is. It's one long DRS train when it does become enabled once again. So it's very close further back, and not a lot of room for error at the best of times, but at these close quarters there's plenty of room for a mistake, so I'd be careful there. And as I say that, Sam has gone round at I believe that's about turn 7
9,
maybe. That's right, turn 9.
I think. I don't know. I will check. But yeah, it was turn 9. I was right. Okay.
Yeah, so a moment out of there. Probably clipped too much curb at this rate because, yeah, there's probably some tyre temperature involved and fighting at close quarters. But there's a very vicious curb, and if you hit that, it upsets the balance of the car. And if you're turning too much, you just loop round. So I suspect it's something to do with that. But now has all the work to do to catch up with the field again, if possible, or wait for the benefit of another safety car period to close up.
Which has happened a lot in this tier. I think we've had more safety cars, I think, than race laps for some of these drivers. But Mylander, I think, having a lot of driving time as well. But hopefully that was the last safety car we would see at the moment. But chance for Snake to redeem himself after that quali ban he got last week. And he didn't score any points last week either, unfortunately. So he's got a lot of work to do to get back into form, but he's definitely on form at the moment, and he's got to break the DRS train from Vixtra. Meanwhile, Hun trying to get past her teammate into turn 9, and she does that. So brilliant job from her in towards turn 11, and she's now going to be chasing on for a podium, which is going to be tight because it's 2.7 seconds behind F1 Nerd, but F1 Nerd's tyres will start to die towards the end, so she's got to play the patient game. Meanwhile, Ginger's definitely struggling because Yash now going to get him now as well. Oh, that was close from Yash and Ginger, but I think Yash reacted in just in the nick of time to not hit each other, luckily, as well. Snake setting the fast lap of the race on the hard. We'll see if Yash can get down the inside, or a bit of contact from both.
He'll break himself.
Yeah, contact from both of the drivers, and Ginge has had a moment as well. So, yeah, both of the drivers had severe issues. I think that will be investigated by the stewards. Oh, Vixtra's round. Vixtra's round as well.
Yeah, turn 4. Yeah,
front wing.
Bit of a loop at the exit of turn 3, and the front wing's gone as well. Absolute disaster, given that they were in hot pursuit of Snake up ahead. So it opens the door for Nerd to push on and try and close up that gap to Snake, make the benefit of the DRS. But of course, there is probably another stop on the way for Nerd, unless he can pull a miraculous drive in terms of conserving those tyres until the very end of the race, because it's 18 laps from this point. So that's a tall order to get those tyres as far as he needs them to, but you never know. But yeah, Victor has given himself all the work once again with that mistake, and obviously carrying some wing damage is going to require a set of tyres and a new front wing for him. So yeah, bad news for the sole AlphaTauri driver. Could have used some strong points today, but that's going to be a difficult one now. Obviously still in the points, top 15 score. But yeah, harder job now to score those top points that he really wants and needs as Yash dives into the pits as well, following what I suspect some incident further on the lap.
Yeah, that's a shame for both of these drivers because Ginge had a very good restart as well, passing a lot of drivers in the process as well. So, yeah, maybe the pressure just got to both of those drivers a lot. They're maybe not used to being up there as well, but still a long way to go with Ella potentially still having to pit because those mediums won't get to the end, I'm almost certain. And speaking of medium, Vixtra and Yash is on the medium tyres till the end of the race, so they're going to be very fast. And if there's another safety car, game on for those two. They'll be back in this race as Sam's still pushing on. She's in P9 at the moment, so she's not giving up, so fair play to her in that respect at the moment as we are about to start lap 20 of 36. We've got 17 laps to go of the Dutch Grand Prix, and Snake continues to break a lot of records and sets the fastest lap of this race so far, 4.2 seconds clear of F1 Nerd in second. Hun running in a decent third place. Ogilvy is also in fourth. Hannah in fifth. Her race has gone from bad to really good so far, so she's not giving up as Ella goes into the pits for the final time, and this time for a set of the hard compounder tyres. I'm a bit surprised. I wonder if she didn't have any mediums left. That's probably why she's gone on the hard tyres.
Yeah, I wonder. I think she may have been one of those that started on the mediums and then was on mediums again. So I think that's forced her hand in terms of the tyres she was going to choose. So I'm curious as to whether or not there was the opportunity to extend that stint and go onto the softs later, but the softs don't last very long as it is. So maybe the safe option in terms of really being able to push the tyre as hard as you want without any risk of overheating or certainly punctures is just to go for the hards at this point and push till the end. Because there's still good points up for grabs, as I say. So you may as well take the pain early, push hard, and then maybe if there's other incidents ahead and they have issues of their own, you're already in a position to capitalise on that. So better to do it early than late. And we'll see what Ella can do in terms of working back through the field if possible. But certainly Snake channeling Max Verstappen at this point with the lap times he's producing, having put fastest lap in on the previous one, up to 5 seconds over F1 Nerd with equal cars, remember, as well. Very, very strong so far, but Nerd obviously has to be very aware of his tyre life going forward. But strong running at the moment, as there's a bit of a battle brewing, possibly, between Hannah, Retro, and Notorious Fella.
Yes.
In the midfield, so Hannah's got to be very aware of her mirrors. And hopefully it doesn't end in tears for anyone in particular. It looks like it could shape up to be quite a close battle, this one, it must be said.
Yeah, I think it could be very close between these guys as well, and I think Hannah's got to hope that Kenzie and Notorious Fella keep scrapping on like this before they reach up to her. So, yeah, Hannah must be a little bit worried at the moment, and we also got the lapped car as well to deal with, of Weller, so Hannah's going to get a bit of DRS, luckily, hopefully, from the lapped car. But if she doesn't, then she's going to be in a lot of trouble. So we'll see as they get into the detection point. Yes, she does get the DRS from the lapped car. So that's going to help her ever so slightly. And Notorious Fella then, is he going to make his way past Kenzie? He's a little bit too further back to do so. You've got to be within 2 attempts, I will say, to do so. But with a DRS train like this, I think it's the best time to really save that ERS and then wait until the final half of the race to really do something about it. Because otherwise, it's going to be so hard to recharge because it's a really short lap. It's not much opportunity to do so. And saying that, Fella's using some ERS now and he's only on 3%. So, not nice. Kenzie's on 73% and Hannah's on 25%. So, Kenny doing the best out of everybody else. Yellow flag, I think that's Vixtra again. Yeah, it is Vixtra who's binned it. Final sector. So, the man who's looking very good at the start of the race, not so good in the middle part of the race, as well as gone into a spin. His car's beached there on the grass. He's got to be careful not to get disqualified, and we got a safety car. Okay, so I think that beaching problem has probably caused that. Now, hopefully some drivers have got some mediums left, because that might be a good opportunity to go on to 7 mediums. Snake has stayed out. F1 Nerd is going to go on a fresh set, as I was saying. I wonder if Hunt's going to do the same thing. She's not. She's staying on the hard. She's gambling that most people will stay out on those hard tyres. As Og is going on to a set of the mediums, it looks like. Hannah's in as well. I think it's a no-brainer. If you have a set of the mediums still left in the tank, go on to a set of the mediums. That will definitely get to the end, and it'll be more durable as well compared to the hards that you pitted on in the safety car. So with the Ferrari going for the double stack, but they weren't that far apart anyway, and it didn't cost them that much time. So everyone apart from the top two are going on to a fresh set of the medium tyres. Ella, of course, staying out because she has no mediums left. And Yasha and Vikstrut has probably had a bit of a saving grace with that safety car because of Weller. So those two have another chance to redeem themselves. And we don't have long to go until the end. I'll be a bit worried if I was Snake, because F1 Nerd has the best chance of taking this race win.
Yeah, I agree at this point, because obviously 10-lap-old hards, they're going to be harder to get them back up to temperature. So the pressure's on for Snake to maintain that pace straight off the bat. And even over the first sort of couple of laps or so, it's the tyre warming phase is going to favour all those on the medium tyres, particularly with them being basically brand new. So yeah, it's fallen into the hands a little bit of F1 Nerd, but then there is always that issue of the track here being so narrow that if you just place your car just right, you can defend pretty effectively. There's not an awful lot the cars can do behind, so it's going to come down to racecraft, I think, at this point, because the age of the tyres is a big factor, and that means that those on the mediums do have to strike as quickly as they can to make sure they're making the most of the benefit gained from being on those tyres. But obviously, once you get through a few laps of the race after the restart, it starts to lose that benefit gradually, so it becomes harder and harder to complete that move. So if Snake and Hun can withstand the pressure for long enough, it might still fall into their favour. But of course, that is very, very difficult, given that you've got to go through your own warming phase while everybody else behind you is on fresh tyres and will be up to temperature much quicker. So the challenge is really on.
And I like this challenge people on different strategies as well, and that's the benefit of the tyre flexibility that was brought into the latest patch, because imagine if that wasn't brought into the latest patch, I think most people would have stayed on those hards, and the ones that would have benefited would be the ones that started on the hards and went on to the mediums. So that's brought a lot more people into contention now, and this is great to see. And it's now time to put your predictions in once again. Had it changed on who you think is going to win the race? Because it's changed for me. I thought Snake had this in the bag, but with that safety car, he's probably very annoyed that potentially, if he pitted, he probably would have been ahead of F1 Nerd and potentially would have taken the lead anyway. So it was a bit of a question, but he didn't know what was going to go on behind him. He had the least advantage out of everybody because he wouldn't have known what the others would have done. But guys like F1 Nerd, they would have seen what the others would have done and think, right, those two are not pitting, I will pit as well. But yeah, it is a lot to think about at the moment. And Owen in the chat is thinking still Snake is going to go for the race victory, as Hun is going in for a new set of mediums now. She was in second, she's not going to be second anymore. She should have done that earlier on. Not now. Oh, front wing. Front wing.
Oh, there's a front wing gone.
And softs. Soft tyres.
Okay.
11 laps.
That's brave at this point. I think it can be done. There will be 11 laps left. If the safety car comes in on this lap, it will be possible to get to the end on those tyres. They will be extremely second-hand, though.
Yeah.
But on the low fuel, that might help a bit.
Yes.
It must be said. So I think it is possible to make it. Like I say, if it comes in at the end of this, that'll be starting lap 26. We'll give them 11 laps remaining of the race, which is as far as they go. So I think this is the perfect time. If you're going to go for soft tyres, this is the perfect time to do it. And this last lap, well, this lap currently is very slow speed, and the softs will heat up quicker than anyone else in the field at the moment. So that will be a huge benefit initially. But obviously, all that track position is gone at a track that is very difficult to overtake at. So there is a lot of trade-off here. But if you can play our cards right and, not get into scuffles too much, be aware of those hazards around, say, other cars having issues themselves, there's a good chance of solid points still. So let's see, as the safety car is indeed called in, on this lap. Here we go.
Game on then. So I wonder if she was going to get swamped by the medium runners then if she didn't pit, but she would have got damage anyway. I think she would have stayed out if she didn't get the damage, and I didn't see her get damage anywhere, so she might have got it earlier on and it would have been probably minor front wing damage, but she's caught up to that safety car queue very quickly, and if she doesn't get past a lot of these cars, then a lot of that work would be for nothing. But Snake, he's got more things to worry about. He would have had Hun as a buffer, but now they have a lot of medium runners right behind him to try and contend with as F1 Nerd tries to go the long way around, but with a track that's difficult to overtake on, I think F1 Nerd stays behind. Oglebil's up to third place. OG Libby, sorry, in third position. Yellow flag, that's Sam out of the race. Will that trigger another safety car? Nope, it's not triggering another safety car, but there are yellow flags set to 1, so not many people can overtake. Another yellow flag in the background. That is, I believe, Hannah as well has had a bit of an issue. Down into 11th spot as Ella gets past Ginge, most likely, yep. They make a bit of contact though as well, as Hun's trying to get past 3 cars in turn 9, and with 2 drivers having a bit of a scruffle, Hannah's like, you know what, I'll get past both of you, and she's up into P8 in the process, so maybe it's not the bad decision after all. Her tyres must be very good right now, but she's got to make the most of it right now before her tyres start to be dead towards the end of the race. It's one of those tracks where those softs could last forever, as we're now down to, I believe, 12 runners in this race. Looks like Hun's going to go for another move, it looks like, on Ella then so far, as Ella's on those hard tyres, so imagine the deficit around about 1.2 seconds deficit, so Hun must be feeling quite confident. A bit of a touch from herself and Vixtra, as Vixtra gets back past Hun up to 8th place. That's a bit of a kerfuffle there from a lot of the drivers, but a few drivers have had worse and they've gone into the pits.
Yeah, they've been forced to. There's a lot of front wing damage there through some incidents on the approach towards turn 4. There was quite a bit of contact there as Sam went into the wall. Hannah was also off and lost a lot of time, hence why she's now in the pits. Yash had a moment with somebody. I think Vixtra dropped back a lot and is now recovering. So, yeah, a lot of changes of position. I'm surprised F1 Nerd hasn't done a lot about Snake yet, but that's probably owing to pace. Yash picking up a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit lane exit white line. That's not good news. That's a penalty you really didn't need, but, you know, you've got to keep it within the lines as best you can. So we'll see what comes of that. As, you know, the gap's 6 tenths now between Nerd and Snakey. I think Nerd is now just sort of biding his time for that DRS assistance, because at that point it seems like almost it's very much in the favour of those on the medium tyres at this point, although the hards will make it once they're up to temperature. They're 15 laps old, but obviously the pace difference will be very noticeable in the next lap or so, I would have thought. So pressure's on for Snake to hold on to this now. I've had another spinner. That's Weller, is it?
Weller, yes, unfortunately. The lapped car, he's now out of the race. And he's binned it turn 4. Yeah, he was pushing too much, I think, on a set of the medium tyres, but that means I believe everybody is on the lead lap for the time being. But I think the top 3 are on the league of their own. Notorious fella, he's now back into this. Now, he was a man that was struggling a little bit at the start of the race, and now he's like, you know what? I could push to try and get past Oglivy up to 3rd place. I keep pronouncing their name wrong, race, but oh well, never mind. As we're about to start lap 29. I'm surprised that Hun's not getting past any of the medium runners so far, so it might have been that the softs are starting to approach the life where the tire temperatures are a little bit too high at the moment, or it might just be that it is a track where it's very hard to overtake. But again, she had no other choice, as Owen's prediction might come true at this point with Snake taking the win, because F1 Nerd not putting that much pressure at the moment, not that long to go until the end. And we're keeping an eye on ERS usage. F1 Nerd is using quite a lot. Same with Oglivy, and same with Notorious Fellow as well. Kenzie has hardly used any ERS. Mr. Jin is on 11%. Vixtra's on 11% as well. Hun's on about 60. So I think she's waiting for the good moment. But yeah, I think it might be her tyres are overheating too much, I think, which is costing her the time at the moment. But yeah, F1 Nerd's got to do something, otherwise the race will fall into Snake's hands.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just got to keep setting those consistent laps at this point, because the pressure's going to keep mounting through this stint right up to the checkered flag. But it may be that the setup is playing into Snake's hands, because given that despite the DRS assistance for Nerd, there's not much of a gain down the straight. So I'm curious about that, and it just means that Nerd's got an even more difficult task to close up on Snake. So yeah, despite the tyre compound difference, it is still working out at the moment for Snake in holding on to this lead. As saw Yash as well getting through on Hannah, 30 seconds down on the rest of the field, but still fighting for points, of course, and there might still be good points possible here.
Constructors.
So yeah, definitely, absolutely for constructors as well, with Fella in 4th for Aston Martin and Yash there in 10th.
Fixtures out!
And oof, a big moment through the S's, and we've got another VSC this time.
I think it is, because there's no yellow dot, so it's a VSC. Yash is going to go on to softs. And I do see the VSC board, so it is a VSC. I was surprised it wasn't a full course yellow, but it was off the circuit, so that's probably why.
Yeah, there's not many cars in proximity to it, so they've determined that it's enough to just crane out the car while everyone's at a controlled speed. As both Yash and Hannah both opt to pit again onto fresh softs to continue this battle as the VSC is
they will be lapped, I think, if they stay out. Yeah, they will be lapped if they if the leaders stay out, which they will. So, unfortunate if there was another safety car. Oh no, they've just ahead, which is good. Oh, Snake!
Oh,
that's huge. That is huge. That is huge for the race win. Now, the man who I thought was going to win this race has got a drive-through penalty, and that's gifted the win to F1 Nerds at the moment.
Oh, goodness me. That's a very, very careless error to allow that Delta to go. Oh, that's disastrous for Red Bull. It must be said, it's looking very, very strong in this race. Was doing enough to keep those drivers behind. But now he's going to lose all that. And he will still be on the hards when he re-emerges as well. So an absolute disaster, really, for the Red Bull team with that. And it does throw it into the lap of Nerd, Ogilvy and Notorious Fella to inherit those podium positions at this point. So, yeah, bad news for the Snake there. Just misjudging the Delta a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that is, I think, a big L, I think, for Snake, and he's got to serve it right now in the next 3 laps, but he's serving at the earliest opportunity. The win was his. He was very comfortable. His pace was fantastic, but sometimes, unfortunately, you just lose concentration. It happened to me, I think, around Monza last year. I knew there was a safety car, but I wasn't paying attention to the Delta, and boom, I had a drive-through. So he got a 5-second penalty to boot as well. So he's in danger of even losing 6th place, and he's got Hun on a set of the soft tyres as well, and he's going to have Ella chasing him down as well. So another kick to his woes, unfortunately for him. But his F1 Nerd that leads, Ogilvy in 2nd, Notorious Fellow in 3rd, Kenzie in 4th position, and Ginge somehow is in 5th place.
Yeah, really strong performance from Ginge. Really brought this back in the race, it has to be said. Has sort of stayed out of trouble. He's carrying a penalty, of course. I think it's a 3 seconds at the moment.
Yes.
Might be wrong on that, but yeah, he's all for track limits. But at this point, he's...
No, 8 seconds.
8 seconds, okay, so he's had a 5 seconds somewhere else as well.
Yes, for
possibly
speeding.
For speeding in the pit lane, understood. Okay, so unless he pits again, he's going to be carrying that to the checkered flag, which, you know, is going to put him behind his rivals behind, and maybe even Ella as well, in fact. But, you know, if he keeps pushing on, anything can happen. It could still allow him to hold on to that. I'm thinking of Daniel Ricciardo at Mexico last week, had a 10-second penalty, but still held on to 7th. So you never know what could happen. It could still give you the opportunity to hold on to the position. So we'll see what he can do as he comes under pressure from Snake now. Despite the compound difference, Snake obviously showing better pace from leading the race for most of it. So we'll see if he can get this move done and get it done cleanly as well, because it's a very, very narrow circuit. You don't want to be making any mistakes, because there's still points up for grabs for all of these drivers.
Yellow flag.
Is that
Yash. I think so. Yeah, it is Yash. Lap down now, yeah.
And it'll be the same for Hannah shortly as well. I think it was just pulling over, actually. We've got Hannah in the Ferrari just up ahead as well. So we'll probably be getting waved blue flags quite exuberantly by the marshals. Make sure they're let through. Snakey goes for a move on the inside, but Ginge holds it on the inside line. Snake's going to get a better run out of the corner, though, and gets it done before the penultimate corner. Lovely move, that, actually, it must be said. And moves up into 5th place at the moment. Obviously carrying that penalty, but Ginge with a few more seconds in hand to serve at the end. So, yeah, Ginge still has it all to do. Try and make up some gap to hold on any more positions.
They're still scrapping at the moment between these two. I think this is one of the battles that we've seen this entire race so far, and this is great to see from Ginge as well, as we had another spinner of Yash, I believe, again as well, unfortunately, as he's been lapped once more by some of the drivers. But we've got 3 more laps to go until the end of this race, as F1 there still leads. But we've got Fella that's chasing down Ogilvy for 2nd place. Now that's going to be very exciting. They're on the same tyre life at the moment, so it may come down to setup right now to see who comes out on top right now, as Ogilvy has had a bit of a squirm in that final sector, so it looks like Notorious Fella could be at a huge advantage. But look at that straight line speed that Haas driver is gained from the Aston Martin drivers, so that's probably costing him time. He's got to gain it through DRS, and he's got no ERS at all. He's used all of it just by closing in on a lot of the battles in this race, so that's the cost, or that's the price to pay from Notorious Fella, unfortunately. We'll see what Ginge can do. Ginge, I think, is now, I think, with Snake being miles clear of everybody else, he is just pulling away right now. But don't forget, there is still a time penalty to be added on to the end of the race, 5 seconds. So as long as Ginge can stay within 5 seconds of Snake, Ginge has got 5th place, will still be an incredible result. We'll keep an eye on the battle for 2nd place, because I think that's the only battle that's happening at the moment. I think Hunt's tyres are starting to die out right now, because Ginge is increasing the gap to his teammate at the moment, as Yash again has got a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, sadly for him, it's not been the race I would have wanted, and is just gone from bad to worse, really. But still in 10th at the moment. There's still points up for grabs, as we say. Obviously with Snakey and Ginge, I think it's Hun that can certainly capitalise on this situation, although it's getting pretty tight between Hun and Snake in terms of that 5-second penalty. In fact, I think it's just gone past it. But certainly for Ginge, with his 8 seconds at the moment, is only going to fall in favour of the likes of Hun and Ella behind. So he still wants to try and get that gap out as best he can. 7 seconds at the moment to Ella, so it is doable at this point, but there's only about a lap or so to go for those guys, as Nerd is coming towards the end of the first sector on the final lap of this race, with 2 lapped cars behind, basically. Or is it Hannah's still not quite a lap down, but Yash certainly is. But this battle still raging on between Ogilvy and Fella on this last lap.
Yep, it is, and I believe Yash has been lapped by everybody. Even Hannah's about to lap her as well. So, yeah, that's adding to Yash's rows, unfortunately. But F1 Nerd has driven absolutely amazing this race, and he was hoping the carnage would happen around him, and it did. And the mistakes came to Snake, and it could have been an easy victory for Snake, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. But F1 Nerd, where the race win was long overdue, he didn't get it in Monza due to a safety car infringement, but luckily he wasn't leading any safety cars today, and he's played the strategy to perfection by pitting onto those mediums, and it lasted well. F1 Nerd wins the 6th round of the season in FHK. Ogilvy has come in 2nd place, and Fella with an impressive podium. That is what I'm talking about for him. Well done. Kenzie with a strong performance as well, P4. I think he'll be absolutely delighted. What could have been for Snake, he's 5th on the road, but I think he's going to be placed. Nope, because of Ginger's 8-second penalty, Snake gets 5th still, Hun gets 6th, Ginger 7th, and then we've got Ella in 8th place, 8,000th
Ooh,
of a
that's
second.
close.
That was very
agonising.
close on penalties, but I'm sure she'll still take 8th place because she's had a few DNFs this season. And I think we're just waiting for Hannah. Luckily, I don't think Hannah was lapped, so Hannah will be able to complete her lap anyway, and she'll be still on the lead lap, which is great to see. And there'll be Yash as well. That will bring up the rear. Quite a race this week, but a great performance from a lot of the guys, and F1 Nerd standing out from all the rest by making the less mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just been quite faultless on that restart as well, having the opportunity to get onto the medium tyres. And, well, obviously he was on a set that weren't going to make it, but everyone had the opportunity to reset things again. But has really pulled it out and made the most of the strategy and obviously the errors of other people around. So it's about, as I say, consistency and staying out of trouble. And he's hit that into perfection. And I think that's a worthy driver of the day there. It's just popped up. I was going to say the same thing. A really good result. Podium finish for Notorious fella. Absolutely fantastic drive from him. And Ogilvy to take P2 as well. Really, really solid stuff.
Yeah, I think quite a few driver of the day performances as well, but I think Fella will definitely have to be one of them as well. It just shows you don't give up. Even if you have a bad qualifying, Fella definitely proved himself, I think, today to get on the podium. And I think even he had the struggles as well, but the safety cars brought him back into play. Even though there is a luck involved in terms of safety cars, you've got to have the pace, and he definitely had the pace towards the end of the race. He was more comfortable on those set of medium tyres, so definitely well deserved for him. And F1 there with his first win as well. And obviously Ogilvy with his best result of the season as well, P2. He will take that in a heartbeat. So we'll go through your results before we say our closing thoughts. F1 Nerd takes the win. Then we got the Scotsman in second, Notorious Fellow in third, Kenzie fourth, Snake, what could have been for him, in fifth. He's got the fastest lap of the race as well. Hud in sixth. It's unfortunate with her front wing damage that could have costed her a podium, but I'm sure she'll take that. Gigi in seventh, Ella in eighth, Hannah in ninth, and Yash, your top 10 and your early finishers. We got Vixtra, Weller, Sam, KG Boy, and Alex, your retirements. And Alex retired early on, who I believe brought out the first of our safety cars there. And yeah, it was quite interesting. Luckily, no rain, but yeah, it should set us up for a very good race next week, I think.
Yeah, I think so. If that's a taste of what's to come for the remainder of the season, bring it on, because there's so many strong performances there. It came from qualifying. There's so many, fantastic runs in there, and it really teed it up for a great race. And yeah, fortunately it stayed dry, because ultimately it enabled all the drivers to give it all the pace that they could, and really allowed everyone to show their true ability going through that race. And with that comes the ability to drive to the limit, and mistakes were creeping in, but the cream rises to the top, and absolute massive credit to F1 Nerd, Ogilvy, and Notorious fella there for fantastic podium finishes. So yeah, really, really strong and really enjoyable race. So well done, everybody.
Yes, well done to all the Tier 2 drivers as well. It's a very hard circuit as well. I don't think I would have managed it, so big well done to everybody involved. And the action does not stop there, even though it won't be streamed. Tier 1 will be streamed tonight as well, and you'll be racing there tonight, Kieran. How are you feeling about that? You're now going to be practicing in a few moments' time. Do you think you could replicate some of the drivers' performances tonight?
Well, that's going to be very difficult to do, I think, to be honest, because they've really set the standard in Tier 2, it must be said, so the pressure's on. But I'll be getting my head down and try and extract some pace out of here, because there's some very, very quick drivers in Tier 1 as well. So we'll see how that goes. I've always enjoyed racing around here, particularly in qualifying. It's very, very challenging circuit, so let's see how it goes. But I'm very, very excited to see what's to come. So.
Yeah, best of luck to you. Best of luck to all the Tier 1 drivers as well. And that could be caught on your channel as well at 8 PM as well, UK time, to see how the Tier 1 drivers do around Zandvoort. But for us, I'm trying to find out what track we are next week. Japan, I believe, for the Japanese Grand Prix. I love that circuit. Should be fun for the drivers. Should be fun for us to commentate as well. Hopefully Paul or Luke will be back next week. Most likely Paul, as he's back on holiday. But once again, Kieran, thanks for stepping in at the last minute. Much appreciated. And we will see you same time next week for the Japanese Grand Prix. For myself and Kieran, we will see you soon, and goodbye.
Yep.